I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ranjit Savram from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Nirav, and welcome you all to the Q1 FY21 results earnings conference call of Isgec Heavy Engineering Limited. Management is represented by Mr. Aditya Puri, the Managing Director, Mr. S.K. Khurana, Executive Director and Company Secretary, and Mr. Kishore Chatnani, the CFO. So we will initially have an opening remarks from Mr. Puri, post which we'll take Q&A. So I'm handing over to Mr. Puri. You can start the opening remarks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on our earnings conference call. I hope that you and your loved ones are well and safe. I look forward to a fruitful interaction. Many of you are familiar with our business. We are a diversified heavy engineering company engaged in manufacturing and project businesses. We manufacture process plant equipment, presses, iron and steel castings, and boiler pressure parts. We do turnkey projects for setting up boilers, power plants, sugar plants, distilleries, factories, industrial water treatment facilities, and bulk material handling facilities. We've also developed strength in construction. We address the requirements of a wide spectrum of industries, namely power, fertilizer, sugar, oil and gas, petrochemicals, automobile components, steel, cement, chemicals, railways, space, and ports. We are number one or number two in almost all our product lines in the country. Our presence across multiple industries and geographies helps us to spread any sectoral or geographical risk. Let me now talk about our consolidated financial results for Q1 FY 2021. We are happy that the revenue performance was satisfactory, given that there was large-scale disruption due to the nationwide lockdown, disruption in supply chains, and logistics and problems with migrant labor. The total consolidated revenue for Q1 of FY 2021 is rupees 1075 crores, including other income, as compared to rupees 1204 crores for Q1 of 2020. The consolidated EBITDA for Q1 of FY 2021 is at rupees 96 crores and is higher compared to rupees 81 crores for Q1 of FY 2020. The EBITDA margin improvement was driven by savings in costs, including employee costs. The consolidated profit after tax for Q1 of 2021 is at 43 crores, and this is higher than rupees 28 crores for Q1 of FY 2020. As I informed during the Q4 FY 20 earnings call, efforts to sell CBPI Philippines and related companies have been continuing. However, discussions have slowed down since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still continuing in the Philippines. I will now talk about the order book. The consolidated order booking for Q1 is rupees 500 crores. The orders in hand as on 30th June 2020 are rupees 6,546 crores. The order book position continues to be satisfactory, and a consolidated order book of rupees 6546 crores, about 78% is for the project business and 22% is for the product business. The order book includes rupees 1,284 crores worth of export orders, which is about 20% of the total order book. Orders worth over rupees 400 crores have also been booked in July 2020. Now I will talk about the impact of COVID-19 on our business and the mitigating measures taken by us. The pandemic and the consequent fall in economic activity, both in India and overseas, continues to have some impact on the businesses of the company. A small part of our orders from customers have been put on hold or suspended. Some of the customers have deferred the inspection or dispatch instructions for delivery of ready equipment. These are, however, surprisingly not very large, and at this point in time, less than 2% of our order book. This is a good aspect of capital goods business as most of our customers have long-term investment time frames, and the interruption of 3 months does not change their investment plan. And most customers have separate funding arrangements for capital equipment and do not have to use their operational cash flows. Another reason for this could be a reasonable amount of money. Once a reasonable amount of money has been invested in a project, cancelling or putting the project on hold may be even more loss-making for the person who's investing. We will, however, have to monitor the situation very closely in the next few months. As communicated during the last earnings call, we have written to all our customers invoking force majeure. No major impact is expected with customers because of the delay in execution of the projects or orders caused due to the lockdown. Inquiry position for most business divisions is good. The order finalization is slow. Because of the push by the government, large number of orders from PSU from sectors such as railways, coal, power, water, process industry, fertilizer, material handling, and civil infrastructure are expected to be finalized. In addition, orders for air pollution control equipment, including FGD, which are mandated for compliance with environment norms, are also expected to be finalized. All our factories are working at full capacity, and there are no labor issues in the factories. Offices have been working with 50% workforce, and employees have been following alternate week or alternate day rosters. The rest of the office employees work from home on the days they are not working from office. All the project sites are running. Average manpower is 95% of the required manpower at most sites. Currently, because of some skill mismatch between the available manpower at sites, the productivity is not optimal, but the situation is improving every day. We have implemented complete sanitization of all our facilities. Strict temperature checks, distancing in workstations and seating, distancing in transport, and other precautionary measures have been implemented at all our facilities and sites. Supply chain has largely recovered. All our large vendors are now working at 100% capacity, and other small vendors are working at between 50 and 100% capacity. Transport, logistics, and ports are working normally. The company is judiciously managing the costs and has made various cost-saving efforts. The company has implemented a cut in compensation for FY21, which will reduce the employee cost by around 15%. The managing director and whole-time director have taken a 75% remuneration cut. New government reforms and initiatives like Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan and Make for the World to support the Indian economy will increase the industrial investments over a period of time. Due to COVID-19, the economic activities in the country and abroad have been disrupted. It will take some time for these to pick up at full pace, but we are optimistic about our positioning in the market, and with our presence in multiple segments and geographies, strong balance sheet, state-of-the-art infra and manufacturing capabilities, technology partnerships, and right quality of people, we will continue to focus on increasing our shareholder wealth, strengthen financial metrics, and serve the community and people at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, should we open the floor for questions?
Ranjit, I may add further to Mr. Puri's opening remarks. We have uploaded our presentation yesterday for the quarter also on the BSE as well as our website. Just for the information of the people who may be asking questions, that our results and our presentation about most of the things are also there.
Thank you. Sir, should you open the floor for questions?
Yes, please.
Thank you very
go
much.
ahead.
We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and one. First question is from the line of Nitin Gandhi from KFS Trade Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thanks for providing opportunity. I just wish to know, do you this order book because of the COVID? Do you see any overall execution delay based on your interaction? Is there what's the approximate execution time for the existing order book, and what's the outlook on 21 overall execution vis-a-vis 20? And is there any impact on the margin for short term, near term? And how are the cost reduction measures which you have initiated in quarter one?
I think you're asking, what was your first question? Your first question was the impact on timelines. Was that your first question?
Yes.
Yes. So the orders are going to be delayed. They are going to be delayed between 3 and 6 months, depending upon which state the contract is being executed. And there is going to be a delay. We're trying to mitigate the delays as far as possible, but the customers have been informed and they are by and large okay with it.
So overall execution still remains 2.5-3 years, or is it likely to be more than that?
No, sir. Some of our projects are some of our products. The cycle time is very short. Our products business is probably going to be impacted only 1 or 2 about 2 months, and our projects business is where I'm talking about that there could be delays between 3 and 6 months. And some of our project cycles are very are much smaller. Some of them are just 12 months, or 11 months, or 10 months.
Product is generally between 12 to 18 months, right?
Product is generally between 6 to 18 months. 6 to 16 months, yeah.
And projects?
Projects could be from a year to 3 years.
Where do you see FY21 H2 execution as compared to last year?
We would be okay. We hope, unless the COVID takes a nasty turn, we should be comparable or slightly better than last year.
Okay. And
but we cannot. It will be by and large like last year. We cannot give you a very exact indication right now. It's too early to say anything, but it should be like last year.
I understand that. But at least you are hopeful of achieving 20 H2 comfortably.
H2 not comfortably, but yes, H2 we hope to achieve it.
Yeah. What about this whatever cost reduction measure which you initiated, which give good margin in EBITDA, likely to sustain? Are there any permanent nature, or these are just temporary?
No, some of them are permanent nature.
Can we have some quantified terms
or we cannot quantify it as yet. It will have to play out, but we've taken a number of steps to improve efficiencies, and I think over a period of time they will play out, and a lot of them are permanent. Kishore, do you want to say? Yeah.
Sir, you have already indicated that there will be 15% saving as a result of employees' cost, and in addition to that, traveling and other measure, I think it will result in maybe another 5%.
No, Khurana sir. No, the question is whether these are permanent. Kishore?
Oh, that is all.
Some of the measures, particularly because of different way of working with more use of IT, more collaborative working, some of these are going to give us increase in productivity for a set of people. They're going to give substantial reduction in costs for travel. They're going to save costs, for example, for inspection of goods being prepared at suppliers' end. And I think part of these measures are going to be permanent. A lot of the IT initiatives that we have taken, including using more software, not only for design and collaborative working, but even for monitoring productivity of our, let's say, the design staff and all the people who work in the offices. I think some of these things are going to give a result which will play out, which will build up, and it is going to be of a permanent nature.
Thank you very much. The last question. Where do we see good opportunities from wherever big triggers are there in terms of government initiatives or any specific FGDA related likely bidding which you are going to give us scalability?
Yes. So government investments are happening, and we will be participating in the FGD market, and we hope to get some order booking from there. And there are other long-term investments that the government is doing in the infrastructure field, and we will be participating in those.
Will it be opportunity of between say 4 to 8,000 crores?
For us?
Yes. Addressable for us.
I cannot say anything at this point in time, but we do a lot of things which are not for the government also, so I cannot give you a precise answer to that question. But the government investment is going to be much higher for these things than 4 to 8,000 crores. Is going to be in multiple hundreds or multiples of that, thousands or multiples of that. Yeah.
No. I'm saying our share for whatever government opportunities are opening. I'm differing that way.
No. So what time frame are you talking about?
No, in general, time frame is a subsequent issue. Maybe whatever.
Yeah. For us, the addressable opportunities are much more than 4,000 crores.
Okay. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. And
thank you.
Good numbers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Kirti Jain from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, congratulations on good performance during the quarter. It has been one of the best performance in last 2.5 years. Very commendable job in a challenging time, sir. Congratulations for that. My first question is on standalone order book, both on the projects and the product. Can you give some breakup, sir?
Kishore, can you give this breakup?
Yes, I can, but give me 1 second.
Take this. So my next question.
The standalone order book is as of the 30th of June, it's 5,900 crores. A little more than that. So in round figures, 5,900 crores.
Okay.
The domestic is 4,850 crores. The international is 1,050 crores.
Okay.
And the project order book is 5,000 crores. The EPC order book, and the manufacturing of machinery and equipment is 1,000 crores.
Okay, sir. So secondly, given that any initial inquiries are we getting on the new manufacturing businesses, sir? In terms of new product manufacturing, any global client, are they talking to us to be their partner with us? Anything they are talking to us in terms of the manufacturing business?
No, we are not talking to anybody for right now to set up a manufacturing facility for them. But yes, people are wanting. There are some people who from overseas who are wanting goods from us, and we've got some orders from them.
Okay. Sir, in terms of the profitability of the orders in the backlog, is it right to presume that the margins which we have done in the Q1, very good margins, can we be able to repeat such a margin or operating profitability performance in the rest of the year?
It seems that we might be able to do that, yes.
Okay. Sir, the legal cost and everything, that is behind us, right, sir?
That's behind us.
Okay. Sir, with regard to the Philippines project, any preliminary inquiries are we getting from our local partners there or anybody there? Any inquiries are we getting, sir?
So we are getting inquiries. But Philippines has had COVID since before India has had, and it still has COVID. And Singapore, which is a major financial hub, is also right now closed in terms of movement. So we're just waiting for the COVID situation to improve, and then we'll carry on with our leads there.
Okay. Sir, last question from my side. The government has now given a 5-year ethanol project and contracts. So in that regard, we being the largest sugar product manufacturing company, how do you see the benefit for us?
So there have been reports in the market, press reports. I'm just quoting press reports. I have no knowledge that the government is thinking of increasing the ethanol price. And we ourselves, our sugar factory, is setting up an ethanol plant, which should be commissioned sometime a little before the middle of next year. So in the long term, I think because of this ethanol, government's thrust on ethanol, the company should benefit. Also, we do supply distilleries, and we also supply boilers to which burn the effluent of the distillery. So all this is very positive for us.
Okay, sir. Just one more continuing question, sir. Sir, domestic sugar project business. What was the size in FY20, sir? Roughly, sir.
It was very small. I don't have the numbers with me, but it was
fine.
Small.
Sure. Sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Bye.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Rita from Invesco. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Congratulations for a good set of numbers. Few questions. One, what is the gross debt as on Q1 21 end? I remember as on FY20 this was around 340 odd crores. What is that as on date?
So gross debt as on date is 319 crores. But we also have some investments in mutual funds and some cash which has come in the recent times. So net debt is only 121 crores.
121 crores.
Yeah, that's because, and we have not prepaid those loans because many of those loans are packing credit loans, and the effective interest rate is less than 3.5%.
Oh,
so it still gives a small arbitrage.
Okay. Yeah. So next question is what is the order inflow pipeline which we are looking at both across the manufacturing and the EPC side? And I know it is difficult to give any guidance, but in your estimate, considering the FGD orders are also on the block, what is the target order inflow which you are looking at for FY21?
So in this year of COVID, we have actually we are not going by target. We are trying to see that we have a healthy order book and that we are able to execute as efficiently as we can. So I wouldn't like to say that there is a very we haven't set ourselves a target because things are very uncertain. But we think that the order booking will be reasonably good, and we will not be short of orders.
Sure. Coming next to the execution side, how much is the labor availability on the EPC project side, basically on your project side?
So I had said in my opening remarks that it is it's about 95%.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
Not as productive as it was before COVID because the exact skill set is not available, but things are improving day by day.
Sure. How much is the execution pending from the NTPC FGD orders?
A few hundred crores.
Okay.
Maybe about 600 to 700 crores. Yeah, 700 crores. Yeah.
Okay. Next is in terms of do we expect any provisions to be taken in this EPC project considering there are delays, and as you also mentioned earlier, will there be any cost provisions on account of that?
No, I think the government has also said that by and large they would be giving extensions of up to 6 months, and I don't think they're going to be very extraordinary delays. Of course, this COVID thing we have to see how this plays out. The projects are late. There is no doubt about it because of COVID. Even today, we are not at full productivity. But I think the government understands that position, because a lot of it is because we cannot get labor into the site because of their restrictions. So there are lots of issues from that side also. So we'd have to wait and watch. But as of now, we do not think that we need to keep any position.
Perfect. In extension, what is our conviction for going forward in terms of this 4.5, 4.6% EPC margin incrementally?
So we are trying to improve them, and we think that they will slowly, but they will. They've started going up, and they will go up.
Okay. Sir, I believe, earlier when we had a chat, there are some provisions which we had already taken for this NTPC project. Do we expect any reversions to that,
No, I don't think we have kept any provisions for NTPC projects. I don't know where you've got that information from. We haven't kept. No.
Okay. Secondly, could you help us with what is the fixed cost which we incur, say, quarterly, run rate, fixed cost quarterly run rate?
Fixed cost? You sure?
You can look at our results. If you look at the published results and so on, so you can probably make that out. The fixed cost is largely the salary cost.
Okay.
So if you look at last year, the employee benefit expenses were 313 crores for the year. So if you want to look at monthly cost, that is about 26 crores or so. In addition to that, there are certain costs, such as, since we are talking only about fixed costs, I guess you are trying to work out that if there was a lockdown for another month, what would be our
right.
What would be the
Right.
So you could have things like facility maintenance, security, facility maintenance, insurance, electricity bills, telephone bills, and so on.
Sure.
If you were to work all of that out, it will be about 30 crores.
Okay.
Per month.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. And one last question from my side would be, how much is the net working capital days sequentially?
I don't have the number in that parameter. Number of days, I don't have it at.
Or maybe could you just spell out the debtor days? Debtors absolute amount, that would also be good.
Debtors absolute amount. I'll give that to you in a minute.
Sure.
Meanwhile, you can ask some other question.
That's it from my side, and good luck.
Thank you.
Just hang on for a second. I'll give you that number.
No issue. Thank
you. So total trade receivables as of 30th of June are 1,840 crores.
Okay.
That includes retentions. That includes everything.
Yeah. That means there's a reduction in the amount from FY20 end till date.
There is a reduction. That's right.
Oh, that is actually. Thank you. Good luck for future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Jonas Huta. Ritika Gupta from Equirus Investments. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. So could you give us could you give us the industry-wise breakup for the order book?
So a lot of it is from power-related order book. Maybe about 23-24% is from there.
Okay.
And so a lot of it is from there, and then from cement, from steel. So power is about 23%. Kishore, is that right?
Yes, give me a second. So let me.
Yeah. So we'll give it to you. Give us a minute. We'll give it to you. Yeah. So I'll give you. Power is 37%. Sugar is 14%.
Okay.
Railways is 13%.
Okay.
And the rest is like steel, engineering, refineries, chemicals.
Okay.
Right?
And regarding the Philippines assets, do we have any plans of running it on our own?
Any plan? I'm sorry, I didn't get you. Do we have any plans? I lost your voice.
Do we have any plans of running it on our own?
Not as yet. Not as yet. We are hopeful that we'll get a buyer, but we are not totally close to that option also. But we are hopeful that we'll get a buyer.
Okay. And regarding subsidiaries like Hitachi Yosen, the Titan Foster Wheeler and Eagle Press, could you give us like some outlook?
So, ISJEC Hitachi Zosen is quite well booked for next year.
Okay.
For this year and early part of next year. And so is Titan. So the subsidiaries are also well booked. And as Kishore and I had given the figure in our opening speech, the consolidated order book as of 30th June is about 6,600 crores.
Okay. And what do we see in Eagle Press?
So Eagle Press also went through a lockdown which was there in Canada, intermittent lockdowns which were there in Canada in March and April. We'll be taking over. We are the owners of Eagle Press. We already have 3 of our people posted over there from ISJEC, and we think that in the next 2 years it will give us very handsome returns.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Jonas Bhutta from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and congratulations on a great set of numbers in the current time. My question was, one of the prior participants sort of spelled out the revenue execution that's already happened on the NTPC FGD project, which suggests that you're almost halfway through the execution.
A little less than half, yes. Less than half.
Yeah, and we were made to, by companies who were competitors to you in these days, that these were very high working capital with a high retention ratio attached to this. So is it true that out of the 1,800 odd crores kind of receivable number that you mentioned, 200 to 250 crores is purely just based on from this particular project?
We won't be able to give you exact numbers, but in these projects there is a high retention. These are high retention projects.
This the execution impact of this particular project up in your working capital.
Yeah, it is having an impact on the working capital, and we have factored that in.
Okay. And when you are looking at future opportunities within this space, and we understand that NTPC is sort of opening up Lot 6, which is the more subcritical power projects. Would you be participating in these actively as you did in the first 2 lots? Or
yes, we will be. And we will be participating in Lot 6. Yeah.
And how are the working capital norms in those bids?
They are better. They are more relaxed. They are better.
Okay. And given that this particular project had some bit of the first project that was won at when the rupee dollar rate was at least 7 to 8% lower than where it is today. Given the price variation that we've seen on the INR versus USD, and given that we had some bit of imports within the FGD space, how does that really leave you on the profitability of this particular project, sir?
So it's our company policy that whenever we whenever we contract an import and the order is accepted by the supplier, we take a forward cover. So we are not going to be impacted by this INR dollar variation. We had hedged it earlier, so we know what we're going to pay for it.
So that's helpful. So my second question was more with the recent government announcements around, limiting particularly Chinese competition within the electrical equipment ecosystem, which sort of also includes capital goods. So if you can highlight segments within your business that were exposed to high Chinese competition, if any, and whether you expect some bit of pickup in orders at least through import substitution. Which would be the segments, if at all?
So these FGDs, the Chinese have put in bids in all the FGDs. FGD contracts, and in a lot of government PSU sector contracts also they used to bid. But now, obviously, with the political situation being what it is, we think that competition from Chinese will reduce. And we're also seeing some, although I would say that it's not, I don't see a huge opportunity over here, but there are people who are coming to us who were earlier buying from China to say that, could you do this work for us?
So does that really change if you had a particular, not that you're disclosing those numbers in the current environment, but does that really change your FY 21 and 22 order inflow prospect list? Is it that near term, or is it still at a very qualitative stage where you can't quantify it? And
we cannot quantify. We cannot quantify. You see, it's also people who are buying from China. Even overseas companies that are buying from China may want to buy from India. But at this point in time, they cannot visit India. We cannot visit them. Although you can have meetings over Microsoft Teams, Google, all these things, but actually seeing the facilities is not happening. So as a result of which, this COVID is constraining some long-term growth plans. So I think once the COVID gets under control, the scenario will become much more clear.
Sure. And so that's helpful. And so my last question was on the waste to heat process, the opportunity in that particular segment.
Waste to energy.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Yeah. Right. And so if you can elaborate briefly on what are the opportunities there, and
so there's interest in that, and we have with our in a consortium with Hitachi Zosen. We have booked one order for it, and we may book some more in the future.
Okay, but has the business dynamics in that business changed in the last maybe 6 months, or is there a special impetus that is coming in, or it's business as usual?
I think that there are more projects coming in. There are more projects. People were very enthusiastic about it all the time, but I think there are more projects which are actually fructifying now in this particular field.
Okay, sure. I'll come back in the queue. I have a few more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Mohit Kumar from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. And
good
congratulations on good set of numbers. So my first question is on the FGD side. Have you seen any prospect which you see are likely to get finalized the next 4 to 6 months?
Yeah, there are prospects. There are prospects.
So what kind of order? What kind of an order we are talking about? I think most of the NTPC order has been done, right, except for Lot 6.
So there would be state electricity boards also who will be going in for it. Private sector companies will also go in for it. So it's a government mandated investment. So it will happen, and there would be a market for it. There is time. The market is not dried up by any means.
No, sir, I'm trying to figure out, sir, are the new bids which are opened in the past few months, which you think will likely get finalized in the next 3 to 4 months?
Yeah, there are bids that are likely to be finalized in the next 3 or 4 months. There are.
And if you have to quantify, say, megawatt terms, what we can expect?
I wouldn't be able to say it, but it's not. It's a reasonable number.
And secondly, sir, on the FGD side, of especially the supercritical power plants, do we need to have some different bring some different partnership to bid in those to the FGD equipment?
No, our partnership with Backward Power is fine. There is no issue in that for supercritical. No issue.
So, do you import a lot of stuff from China? Overall,
not too much.
Basket?
No, not too much. Not too much at all.
So, lastly, sir, with the government promoting
for these FGDs, for the lot 1 and lot 2 FGDs, there were some requirements in the tender which had to come from China, or which were much cheaper there. There was also some material which could only come from China, but all that material has come now, so we don't. Most of it has come. We don't foresee any issue over there.
Sir, given the government is trying to promote Atmanirbhar scheme, does it open any opportunities, manufacturing opportunities for us, which we can look in the next, in the next 6 to 12 months?
So I'm sure there would be opportunities, and we are also scouting around. But I think this COVID situation has to get over for any meaningful talks to happen with foreign companies. There could be opportunities, but let's also there could be opportunities for foreign companies to tie up with Indian companies, and we are sure that there would be. We're just waiting for this situation to improve a little bit.
So, anything which is exciting given the government's list of equipment which you believe which you can target?
It could be across a lot of things that we are doing. It could be across a lot of things we are doing, but I cannot give you any specific details right now.
Understood, sir. Understood. Thank you. Thank you. That's it on my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Amit Davnani from Zenith Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you for taking my call. I would like to start off with on the EPC front. Can you tell me what your hurdle rate is for any EPC project?
What rate is? Sorry, I didn't get you.
The hurdle rate is hurdle
rate. Kishore, would you like to answer?
I think, sir, he's asking about what kind of margin do we look for before we take an order?
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. So we would like to look for bigger margins, but normally we're taking it at about 4 to 5% profit before tax.
4 to 5. So, and in the past, I'm just trying to understand whether we have been successful in attaining that. So, when we enter a project, thinking that this is going to give us like a 4 to 5% margin, historically, have we been able to attain that?
In most projects, yes. Yes, in most projects, yes.
Okay. And secondly, do we only enter EPC projects where we can supply some kind of machinery equipment, or that is not really a consideration?
No, that is not an overriding condition.
Okay. So, just trying to understand the vetting process when it comes to the credit worthiness of the, of taking these projects. How do we protect ourselves from, dealing with some promoters that may, not be able to fund, or even some bankrupt discoms? So, what kind of vetting process do we have?
So the large projects that we take, we do sort of an internal appraisal of the credit worthiness of our customers, and that is why we have actually consciously moved a lot of our EPC projects away from the private sector to credit-worthy government entities. That's a conscious decision that we've taken. The government contracts do have the payment terms are not very favorable. They are there is an extended period of credit that you have to give. But at the same time, your money, you will get it. It may be with a little delay, but you will get it. But the private sector, unfortunately, is a little more shaky in that regard, and therefore, we are careful about from whom we are taking in the private sector.
Understood. So in Hitachi Zosen, we have done in the JV. We used to do about, I think, consistently between 300 to 400 crores a year in revenue. I believe in 2019 that dipped. Can you tell us that? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what will be the drivers of our product business. Was it because of the drop in oil prices? What would if you were to give 2 to 3 broad variables to understand how the product business will fare over the next, in the future, what would be the good drivers of this business?
So as far as Hitachi Zosen is concerned, first of all, the drop in turnover because of the lockdown which was imposed in the last week of March. There were some very heavy consignments which were to move out and which could not move out. And as far as Hitachi Zosen is concerned, it's got a very good order book at this point in time. The second quarter will also be a little low for it because a lot of material which was to be manufactured was stuck in Bombay at the Bombay port when COVID was at its peak in Bombay. In Mumbai. So, but it's got a good order book, and the year will be good for Hitachi Zosen. Hitachi Zosen. And so Hitachi Zosen basically caters to the requirements of refineries, petrochemicals, fertilizers, sometimes power sectors. So it's what drives these sectors which drives demand for Hitachi Zosen.
Right.
But it supplies goods all over the world. The potential is there all over the world.
Okay. And as far as our standalone the product business goes, what would be the drivers there?
So they're different. We do pressure vessels over there for which it's oil, gas, fertilizer, chemicals. Then we do hydraulic and mechanical presses for the automobile sector, which is low at this point in time. But those facilities can be used for other products. So there is oil, gas, petrochemicals, automobiles. We also manufacture boiler pressure parts. And the foundries supply to a great many industries. They supply to soda ash, to paper, to metals, to many industries.
So I'm just thinking that capex by our oil PSUs that would be a big.
You're right.
That would be a good indicator of how we may perform in the future. Is that a fair comment?
Capex by them, capex by Reliance, yeah.
Okay. And sir, just one last question on the distillery front. You mentioned in the last conference call that you were looking to you're starting a distillery. Is that were you alluding to the ethanol plant, or are you getting into portable alcohol?
No, we're ethanol plant, and work has started on that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Right.
Thank you very much. A reminder to all the participants, you may press star and 1. Next question is from Kiran Naik from Modi FinCap. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. So my question is, how much is the cash conversion days to get the money from debtors and creditors?
Kishore?
What is the cash conversion days the company is into?
I haven't thought about it in that fashion. I don't really understand cash conversion days the way you are asking it. Yeah. So I guess we'll have to answer it next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question is from Monica Arora from Sharekhan Wealth Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and congratulations on the good set of numbers. I wanted to understand that in the current order book, which industry contributes the most, sir?
We told you these figures earlier. The maximum contribution is from the power industry.
Okay.
It's also because no, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's also because FGDs are from that industry, right?
Okay. And sir, which is the worst affected industry in this pandemic, and how you see that how the revenue loss, which is basically from these industries which are worst hit, will be recovered by the company in near term?
So I think two industries that are badly hurt are I think the one industry that is hurting us the most is the downturn in the automobile sector.
Okay.
And the revenue loss from there could be about 150 crores or so because of the pandemic. And the consequent fall in demand.
And sir, how is especially due to this pandemic, how is the payment situation from the customer? Is there any kind of delays you were expecting or has been in the last few months?
So, some customers are delaying a little bit, but overall our cash position has improved since before the lockdown.
Okay. Any capex plans, sir, in the current year or in the next 2 to 3 years?
Okay, so we don't have any, I can't tell you about the next 2 to 3 years, but currently there may be some balancing capex that may happen, but not big numbers.
Okay. So recently what we have seen is that you have received a large amount of orders from civil work. Do you think it can be a risky strategy considering the low margin and high risk in this segment?
So we've been doing civil work in all our EPC contracts for a long time, and many of these civil works are on a BOQ basis, whereby if there is any variation in the quantities, that is either cement or steel, the customer pays for it. So to that extent, we have mitigated our risks.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All the best.
And there is escalation clause also in some sense.
In many of these civil
Okay, there is actually, if there is a rise in the cost of raw material prices and all, there is a clause.
Right.
Okay, fine. So thank you so much, sir. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I will now hand the conference to Mr. Ranjit for closing comments.
Yeah, I thank the management for taking time out to answer the questions of investors, and I thank all the participants for their insightful questions. You have any closing remarks, Mr. Puri, to make?
No, I don't have any closing remarks as such, but thank you everybody for attending the conference, and stay safe, stay well, and we'll talk to you again in the near future.
And thank you, Ranjit, for organizing the conference.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.
Thank you.